Alrighty, we got the recording in progress notice, so we'll officially call the meeting to order at 4:31 or 4:32 p.m. First thing we need is the approval of the April 11th agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda for April 11th.
Seconded.
In favor, aye. Motion carries. Approval of the February 8th minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 8th.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye, there we go. All right, so then we'll go right down to my report. Okay, the Long Island Railroad continues to monitor train schedules for riders' concerns, and they've added an express train to Grand Central Madison on the Port Washington branch during the AM peak starting April 15th. This train will originate in Great Neck at 7:53. This train eliminates a considerable gap in the schedule for trains going to Grand Central Madison on that branch. On-time performance on the Long Island Railroad has been in the mid-90s this year, which is critical without having our time connections in Jamaica. I'll just leave it at that. New food options in stores continue to open in Penn Station, and there is now some hope for the same at Grand Central Madison. In addition to the lease signed by Trax, the MTA has issued a request for proposal for a company to come in to handle leasing, balance of the leasing at that terminal. I had the pleasure recently of traveling to the state capitol last month with PCAC staff to push for legislation, which would be the Riders Representation Act, S20A 923, that would give the 3 transit rider reps on the MTA voting status. This would give us the ability to make and second motions, count towards quorum, and possibly chair committees. We appear to have support in both the Senate and Assembly, but there are no slam dunks in Albany. Staff is also working to find sponsors in both houses that would allow for one candidate's name to be sent to the governor's office to fill any open positions on the LIRRCC. Final interviews were recently held for the associate director's position at PCAC, and an offer is in the process of being made for the top choice. We are hopeful that we can make an official announcement regarding this matter before our next LIRRCC meeting. And at last month's MTA board meeting, congestion pricing was formally approved, but most of the MTA's new capital projects are being kept on hold pending resolution of lawsuits that have been filed to stop the implementation of this plan. It should be noted that rolling stock is part of capital, and that no contract for the new M9As, which are needed to replace the M3s, which are approaching end of their useful service life, will be negotiated until that matter is resolved. And that's my report, short and sweet for this month. Any questions? Comments? Alrighty, guess we'll move down to Lisa.
Great, thank you very much. Breaking news, Cranes reports that Rob Free has the act in front of his title, and that he has been made permanent president of the LIRR, and that one of his priorities is also restoring connection, or improving the connection experience. When Jack gives his report, he'll when Jack talks about the communications report, he'll discuss something, a different trend that we had heard, which set up some red flags. So we're glad to hear that not only is Rob focusing on the on-time connections, but also Cranes reported that they are that the MTA is working with a consulting firm to look at better ways to improve connectivity and the flow of the trains, including which they know will require additional rolling stock. So as do we. So that's great. We as Jerry mentioned, we went to Albany and we're continuing to pursue the Rider Representation Act, and our budget priorities are on a one pager here. And for anybody, yes. We are meeting with elected officials to advocate for this legislation. There are over 50 sponsors in the House and the Assembly, not the House, the Senate and the Assembly, right? It hasn't been to that level yet. We'll get it bill done in the Senate and the Assembly, who signed on. So the Rider Representation Act could potentially be passed in the budget, but there's also the opportunity to have it passed after the budget. So if it doesn't get smushed in with everything else, that
It's a
gives
big
us
ugly.
more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
The other priorities that we're working on are, the fare discount priorities that are included in the Senate One House under the Fares Act, which are all related to the railroads. It's allowing seniors, disabled and Medicare eligible riders their discounts in the AM peak, which is the only time of day when they're currently not allowed to do that. Creating a city weekly that would be funded with the outer borough transit account ideally, and allowing for fair fares to be used on the railroads in the city to be funded by the city. The assembly also includes some in their one house bill, in their one house budget, increasing the eligibility on fair fares, which is a income-based discount for riders who make currently 100%, 120% of the federal poverty level, to raise it to 200%, which would mean that people who make minimum wage would now be eligible. And that's something we've been pursuing for quite some time. So combined fair fares on the railroad with the city ticket at 200% would provide access to opportunity. And as we have heard repeatedly from the chair and others, there's capacity to allow that ridership. And it would bring people in who don't currently ride, get families in seats and raise revenue. And it would be great in advance of congestion pricing in particular. Congestion pricing did pass. There are ongoing, well, it passed the board hurdle. The next step is that it goes to the Federal Highway Administration for its final-ish review, so that it can look at what the final-ish the final charge structure is that was put out there and voted
Yep.
upon. And they can make sure that it coincides with the modeling that was done. So there's the New Jersey lawsuit where the judge is supposed to make a determination between April 15th and May 15th from what we've heard. Then there are the New York lawsuits which are different. And there's still a lot of optimism that June 15th is the turn on date there. So I think once the New Jersey lawsuits /S is are decided, then hopefully the MTA will be able to unlock the capital projects that are really critical to moving forward. We are thrilled with the candidate. We had two really great candidates come back for second interviews. We had a good poll, and we're really excited about the person who we've made the offer to. And they're excited also. Yes, they actually works. And hopefully that offer will be extended this week. And we'll know more about timing and the next. I'm just hoping it doesn't take as long as it took us to get Jack, which was 5 months, 4 months, 6 weeks, something like that. It was just endless. So the person, it comes from another advocacy organization who is well respected in the region. So
It came recommended.
and came recommended from that organization. So we met last week with Senator Martinez in Hopewell to also talk about the Rider Representation Act, and we will be following up with her to about signing on.
Yeah.
She hasn't signed on, and about the LIRRCC candidate name/number legislation also.
One candidate.
One name. So we have Senator Connery as Senate lead on that. Assemblymember Solage has enthusiastically agreed to be the assembly lead on that.
Nice.
And we're hoping that we can then just ask the governor's office to make it a program bill So it doesn't need to get through the same level of sponsorship that we
From different committees.
pursued and pushed it through with our other activities, because it's daunting, it's a lot of work. It's absolutely doable. But if we're going to go that route, then we're gonna look to work with the governor's representatives on Long Island to help us there.
And that just brings us in line with Metro North, right?
And
Metro
the,
North.
and TRC.
Yeah,
I mean, to bring us in line with Metro North, that would allow local elected officials to make recommendations, not just the county
Yeah.
executives. But right now, we've got a piece that's signed on by Senator Comrie, and the Assemblywoman has agreed, so let's.
yeah, no, what I meant
As
was
it-
Metro North just has to send one name up, they don't.
Yes.
have to send
And
three.
it does have to come from the county exec's office.
And Metro North,
Yeah.
but LIRRCC, we're going with just the one name.
Yeah.
And the governor's office, the governor's appointments office has said that would make their life much easier too.
And then the governor's appointments office
Mhm.
still has the opportunity to reject that one candidate if they didn't like it, and we just send another name up there, but
Right.
rather than sending batches.
We
of
could
three.
do one at a time. now.
Yeah, exactly,
We have to wait to get to three and.
yeah, exactly.
We did, the Brooklyn Borough President's Office did send, 3 names up to the governor's office for the LRCC, which is terrific news, and we are continuing to work with the Queensborough President's Office. They are, the Queensborough President's Office did send a letter to, the Assembly Speaker and the Majority Leader in the Senate for the FAIRS Act, and is on the verge of submitting their names for the council as well. And I'm going to Borough tomorrow. Sorry, somebody's speaking. Oh, hi.
And the Queensborough president also owes you one for transit too, right?
Yes, and we're continuing to work with them. I'm going to the Queensborough President's office.
Okay, great.
Queensborough President stayed at the borough tomorrow, hoping that they'll. Hi, I'm here. Let's do
Okay,
this.
yeah.
What's our story with Peter also?
So, once we have this legislation in place, then it's a great opportunity to get into to remind our county executives that, they have these vacancies. Ed Romaine is still settling in and establishing his people. I had spoken with the county executive Lakeman staff some time ago. It's daunting to get 3 people who are willing to not only put their names, but it's a lot of look through
Yeah.
to, to have it done. It's not Senate
Mhm.
confirmation, but it's still, yeah.
Yep.
it's- you guys know.
Yep.
Put your stuff out there. So,
Been there, done that.
Yep,
yeah. So do any of the members have questions about any of that?
I'm good.
Okay, Maddie, you have your hand raised. Is that related to my report or Jerry's report?
Well, you mentioned, thank you, Lisa. And if I'm going off, just remind me. The Fairs Act. What is that?
So the FAIRS Act there are 3 components to it. One is to allow seniors, disabled, and Medicare eligible riders to
Uh-huh.
use their discount fares on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North in the morning peak when they're currently not eligible.
Oh, it's
the other-
only. Oh, sorry.
The other is fair fares on the
Uh-huh.
commuter rail in New York City and a city ticket week
So it only applies to the PM peak at this time.
and off peak,
Every
Okay.
time of day but the AMP.
right?
Yep. And I do support the Riders Representation Act by Senator Gennardis and Assemblyman Dinowitz as
Thank you.
well. Did you talk to Senator Rhodes on his support of that or no?
We're making our way through through the houses.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Okay, Christopher D. Great.
Yes, I just put my hand up. Lisa, I had a little trouble hearing you were saying something earlier regarding the borough presidents and getting members. I didn't hear you from that last sentence because it was a little low. I was waiting till you finished.
Sure, we drafted legislation that would change the requirement for LIRRCC that instead of having to submit 3 names for every vacancy, the recommending elected officials would only need to submit 1 name. LRCC is the only council that currently has that requirement. So we have Senator Comrie is sponsoring that in the Senate, and Assemblymember Solage has enthusiastically signed on to support it in the Assembly. We're just waiting for a bill number from on the Assembly side. The Brooklyn Borough President has submitted their 3 names. We're waiting for the Queensborough President to do the same for LRCC.
Lisa, what, later I need to talk to you offline, because there's, I'm a little confused with Brooklyn, because they're telling people different stories, just to be heads up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Do we want to get the bill number too?
No. Well, once we have both bill numbers, we'll send it around, and yeah. Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
That's me.
Was
Jack.
that last budget update? What was
So
that?
the budget update, so. The budget is, we do not yet have a budget. The budget has been extended twice. Twice so far, yeah, the next. I believe it's been extended to Monday. And there will be ongoing work to get it passed, which is why everybody is frantically maneuvering to get their things like the FAIRS Act,
Are you talking the state budget?
state budget.
I think it was extended on Thursday.
That was today. The,
No, I think it was extended to next Thursday,
okay,
because I was told today it was extended a week.
Yeah, they were
Well, I'm gonna assume it's Thursday.
well,
I could be.
still the 15th.
I thought it was the 15th, which is Monday.
I have the 15th here too from the OPW, and it's the
Yeah.
15th.
All right. Well, that's-
I was told wrong.
Yeah, no, it's, listen, there's a lot of machinations and rumors du jour. So as part of, the budget work and our pursuit of the FAIRS Act within the budget, we, sent out, some maps, and we didn't bring the maps, but there are, we can share them with you. Maps that were created, that Kara created, which are great, that show by Senate district and Assembly district in New York City, what it would look like to raise the eligibility rate to 200% of the federal poverty level in New York City, and the proximity to Long Island Railroad and the metro stations. It's really very compelling. So now we're enticing some of not just our elected officials, but some of our ink stained wretches to write about that as well. So it's pretty neat. So we will share those with you. That one now, Joe had the opportunity to see that. Oh, yeah, and the Willis Point development is being signed on today. As the overarching development for the new apartments, the soccer stadium, the new school, and all the other amenities. And we put out a softball statement that said, hey, what about transit riders? And the Mets World Series, but,
That's good. That's world.
that, and, right, and the,
Oh, yeah.
that's right. Chris,
Any,
I'm already-
sorry, yes,
you
Brian.
mentioned all these sports and stuff, with that cricket coming to Eisenhower Park, I know we don't have a station right nearby, but is it being considered on?
That might be a question for Anna.
What's the nearest station, or
Probably
how
Westbury.
far could people be coming from to at least get them nearby?
Let me put it to you this way. I don't know what the size of the stadium is. I think it's like 30,000 or something like that, I don't know if you've seen what they
Oh,
built.
yeah,
It is scary what they built, because I was there last week because I'm part of the covering crew. And it's all temporary bleachers that's gonna hold a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, it's like, "Ugh,"
I see
I'm
them
sure these guys
welding
know
a
what
lot
they're
of
doing.
steel, but
Mhm.
But
at least to get people nearby, like, are they coming as far as Queens down here, or Suffolk people coming in?
closest station, I believe, would be Westbury.
It is Westbury. So and I'm sorry to
So there
interject
you go.
sorely. But
Go ahead, Anna.
there are ongoing meetings with the contractors that are working on the stadium right now. And we're also involved with coordinating with Nice Bus. So they're going to be shuttling folks from our station to the stadium. And in other areas, but that's where we come in. So the nearest station is Westbury. We're still coordinating. We had a meeting with the contractors and Nassau County PD and a bunch of other folks about a week ago. And I think those are weekly now. So we have all the appropriate folks on those calls.
Is there going to be increased service?
So that's what we're trying to work out right now. I think the priority for a while for the contractors was to build the stadium. So there was a lot of focus there, but now we're working on coordinating if we need more trains and how many trains that would be, or we need to increase service. So we're working that out currently.
Who's going to pay for it?
34,000.
So not sure yet.
Well, it's like the first week of June, I think the event is, so
Oh,
Yeah, they gotta get
it's
together.
less than, it's like 7 weeks away.
Yeah, there's like 8 games, I think it is being played there. I'm calling.
And it's weird hours, I heard too, because of the way it
And
has
it's-
to be
Right.
televised and stuff. It's not
Well, the
like,
tickets are all sold out.
Yeah.
We're only covering the United States game, which is the last one.
but the games are like
I'm gonna-
at
I'm
odd
calling it. I'm
times
gonna find it
because
right
of.
now.
Oh, where they're gonna televise back to, yeah, they televise back to India or televise back
Which
to
could be
England or- yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning
Yep.
here or something like that.
No,
And folks are using other modes of transportation, we know, but what I think what we're trying to figure out right now is how many people we anticipate will take the LIRR. And that's when we can decide if we need increased service and talk about who will pay for that.
Well, I guess they're close enough, they could probably use parking at Nassau Coliseum.
Well, the parking is not gonna be much of an issue because the park's got a lot of parking spaces.
Okay,
Assuming that there is no other events going on. If you look at how many people they seat for the fireworks and things like that, I mean, this is
Okay.
30,000 people, so they're gonna be parking all over the grass and all over
Okay.
this, stuff, but.
well, I'm a Suffolk boy, so I'm not really familiar with Eisenhower.
It's, like, if you drove through Eisenhower and you saw this, it's near the ice rink.
Yeah.
And what they built, it's in the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden this thing just started rising.
Well, it was like the old kite field or something like that. So it was an open field.
Yeah, it was a
probably use the
huge,
public school.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's huge and it's
Is it-
scary.
Will the games be on weekends?
I'm trying to call up the schedule.
Okay, because then you've got all the people in the world going.
I think there are 8 games
Yeah,
in
like
June. Right, and I think they anticipate a lot of people coming for one game in particular. It's the Rivals. I know one team is Pakistan. I forget. I'm sorry off the top of my head who's the other team. I'm not a cricket expert. But there is one game that they anticipate a lot of people coming just because of the
Yeah.
nature of the rivalry.
Annabelle, don't feel bad. I've never seen a cricket game in my life, so, and I have no idea what I'm covering.
I think everyone, I won't say everyone, but most people at the LR have that same question. What is cricket? So we're all learning.
All right, I think we have a couple of questions on the
We
board,
do.
and then we can go to the
Christy said
communication.
that there's a big accident and her time went from 4:40 from 20 minutes late to from 4:47 to 5:32. So I was like,
Wow,
no, yeah, no.
Just let her know we have a
just be-
forum.
Yeah, just be safe.
Yep.
Chris,
Getting back to Metzwell's point, Lisa, just to let you guys know, I did put a comment in. And I also mentioned, I said, I'm glad we're building over there, but at least I think you'll love what I'm gonna say this. If you're gonna build all those buildings, including a stadium over there, can you also add an accessible station to that funding to go in? A little bit of that? Since the Mets won their game today, we need some accessibility too.
Yep.
And I know you're smiling, Lisa, because I know they won 16-4, just to say that for the record. But on a serious note, I have brought this up to them, and I also have brought this up to the officials in that area and the community, telling them we need
Great.
to all put the support in for accessibility for Mets Willis Point, not just for the Mets, but everything over there.
yep, that's what our
That's the
statement
game
said,
plan.
yeah.
And Chris, I'll be honest with you, when I was there, I didn't look at accessibility for the stadium, but it is at ground level. If you have to climb into the stands, obviously, but I don't know,
No, not at, no, getting from This is at, Mets.
Oh, for the Mets, we're
I
talking,
think
okay,
that's
I thought
the
we're still in cricket
yeah.
land.
Yeah, no,
No, you're correct about the attendance area. Yes, I agree with you, but it's only good for the Flushing bound.
See, I just have the games, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
And not the dates.
I'm trying to find the time. Well, yeah, I have the dates. I don't have the time. I'm looking
yeah, they
for-
might not have established.
Adam?
No, they're established here. so-
Okay.
I just wanted to ask for the cricket, and I know nothing about cricket, but is Westbury the sole station that's being focused on for this, or are other nearby stations like Hicksville and Hempstead going to be affected by this?
So
Well,
that's the
Car Place
closest
is also nearby.
station. Right, that is nearby, but Westbury is the closest station. I believe that's a station that will be advertised. Because the nice buses will be in the lot waiting to take people from the station to the stadium.
So you'll be
Um,
using NICE as the shuttle system from that station.
Essentially, yes.
Alrighty,
Thank you.
so communication and social media.
Jack, you're up.
Oh, there we go. So on March 26th, the LIRRC used the term transfer requests as opposed to transfer opportunities when communicating with a rider, which was an interesting new twist. But they've also since then been using the term transfer opportunities once again. One rider stated that they found the lighting on the new M9 cars to be, quote, intrusive and way too bright. The railroad replied that M9s have the same brightness as M7s and use the industry standard of 35 FC, but noted that the M9s use LEDs, which emit a wider light than the fluorescent lighting on the M7s. Another rider asked why the 905 train from Penn to Huntington is crowded with only 8 cars, and the railroad replied that they assigned cars based on ridership and available equipment. Finally, a rider voiced their frustration that trains 454 and 457 were combined on the Ronkonkoma branch, saying that there's not enough service in the 4 p.m. hour.
Jerry, have you seen anything come across here?
No, nothing regarding that. The most interesting thing that came across to me was apparently it was a situation on the Port Jefferson branch the other day where some wackadoodle climbed up on top of the train and then couldn't get off.
Idiot.
And they actually had to get, they had to get the fire department to come, just like getting a cat out of a tree. They had to, no, seriously, and they had to use one of those, the giant, one of the metal stretchers, put them on the metal stretcher, take them down. And they took him to Stony Brook, I believe, for psychiatric evaluation, I would hope. And he even parked his car on the tracks. Oh, yeah, love it.
Come to Suffolk County.
Yeah.
And there was,
Port Jefferson branch doesn't have enough problems, you know.
and there was the service, interruption in Sayville because of the person that
Yeah,
lost their life there. That's,
yeah, that happened. That was
Yeah.
a week or so ago, right? And unfortunately, on the railroad, that happens every couple of weeks. We lose somebody, unfortunately, so.
Hey, Annabelle, just for sake of arguments, all the classes are starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
and what are the dates?
All the dates are June 3, June 5, June 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
The 7th through the 12th?
With the United
Yes.
States on the 12th.
Yep, that is correct. And the game that they anticipate the most folks to attend is the India versus Pakistan game, which is Sunday, June 9th.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we pulled up the same same schedule here, but yeah,
Probably.
so
I mean, if they're all sold out, I mean,
They're pretty much all.
aren't you gonna get the same?
I mean, not all of them are sold out. This is correct. I think only 3 games are sold out. The games from the 7th till the 9th, but they still anticipate a very large crowd regardless.
Yeah, I look, most of them, they just can't even buy the time. The tickets are ridiculous in price too. The cheap seats, nosebleed are like 70, like 80, but they're unbelievable.
Wow.
For
It's a
cricket.
thing. Well, wait till soccer comes.
We're not
I'm
into
working
it,
on
but-
that too.
We're not
I'm
into it,
covering
but
that.
clearly 30,000 people are, so.
Yep.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
doing that too at that giant
Is there
station.
something in the chat?
It's called jet life.
There's something I see
That's
too.
the chat.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
thank you,
All
Maddie.
right, thank you, Maddie. Alrighty, Seeing no hands up, we'll go to Annabelle.
Annabelle, I'm gonna add something to what we asked you to speak about for an update also on Lawrence Aviation.
Definitely. Okay. Hi, everybody. I apologize for not having my camera on. I'm in transit at the moment. But yes, so we have that cricket update. So I'm glad we got that cleared up. But we still are in the coordinating process with the county and the contractors for the stadium. So this is just things could change. We do know that we need to keep an eye out on how much service we'll need during that time, but we're really waiting to hear more from them to then make adjustments. I do have a short update this month. We have the ADA survey that has been ongoing. We started it a few weeks back. Tomorrow is the last day I believe you can take that survey. So if you haven't done so, I would encourage you to do so. I'll put the link to the survey in the chat. And then next week, we are going to be releasing our normal customer count survey on the 18th. And that'll be the normal survey that we always do every year. So keep an eye out for that. Regarding the ADA station improvement projects, they're still ongoing. The stations in Long Island are very close to being completed. At Copagan, the elevator was installed already. They're doing final testing there and it's just finishing up. And then at Amityville and Lindenhurst, they are in the process of installing the elevators. I believe at Amityville, the elevator will be installed within the next 2 weeks. At Lindenhurst, a little bit later on, but they're close to being completed, as well as Massapequa Park. That'll happen. That'll be completed after Lindenhurst. After that, we will be moving on to the stations in Queens. We did some pre-construction work at St. Albans over the weekend. We had an outage there to complete some work there, and we're going to be starting construction at the Queens stations in a couple of weeks. So as a reminder, those are St. Albans, Auburndale. Oh, now they're escaping oh, here we go. Laurelton and Locust Manor. And yes, and then a Valley Stream where we're doing work there as well, but that'll be elevator replacements and escalator replacements. So that's that there. St. Lawrence Aviation. I don't have an update for you, Lisa, right now. I haven't heard anything as of late, but I can check in for you and see what the latest is. Sorry about that New York City background noise. But that is it for my updates. I'm happy to take any questions.
Alrighty. Okay, so as far as scheduling updates, the only one we have is the additional train on the Fort Wash branch, right?
Oh yes, there we go. I apologize. I joined a bit late, so I'm not sure if you mentioned that.
I mentioned it in my
Okay, great.
but I just wanted to be sure there was nothing else there. It's the one that originates at a Great Neck at 7:53.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
All right.
I will note that train, for those interested, that train will not stop in Woodside, but it is an express train to Grand Central.
It's like 4 stops, right? 4 or 5 stops.
Yeah, yes, it's Little Neck, Bayside, and Douglaston. Not in that order, of course, but.
Alrighty, I think we got some questions.
Stu, we haven't heard from you for a while. How are you?
Just 2 questions from me, I think. First, about 18 months ago, I asked about a couple of questions about the schedule. Do you think there's any chance that I'm going to get an answer through this forum, or am I going to have to foil the MTA and then sue them, basically?
Can you remind me of your question one more time, Steve, please?
Sure.
That's all right.
One was the speed at which the train is, the Montauk branch is scheduled to travel between certain stations. So I think there's one segment where it travels at like 36 miles an hour. Is there a speed limit issue? Is this a scheduling issue? Is there a reason that the train is scheduled to travel that slowly, was one of them? And then the other is that there are not infrequently delays on the westbound train in single track territory because the eastbound train is late and the westbound train is on a siding. What I noticed is that if you ran one train 10 minutes later and the other train 10 minutes earlier, this conflict would be avoided because the train
Mhm.
should intersect at two-track territory. So I'm wondering if there was a logic to that, or this is just why, this is just the legacy of old schedules. I have 5,000 other questions, but if those two were answered, I'd be a happier person.
Oh, fair. And I apologize. I thought that Hector Garcia answered those questions for you via email. I'm checking right now to see if that is the case. So I did forward these over to our um teams, but
So were there
Probably.
specific stations on the, about the speed restrictions? Because I know that, that there was conversation about positive train control, being one of the reasons that there were reduced. But I don't recall if there were, specific stations that, you had particular questions about, in between.
I didn't pick up everything you said, but I'm aware that there's a problem with the positive train control. And
Sorry.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I asked if there were particular stations between which you were interested.
There were on the email that I presume Annabelle has and you have, I detailed the different speeds that if the train follows the schedule, those are the speeds that the train would go. I'm aware of other issues that apparently when the train is behind schedule, apparently because of the positive train control, it can't exceed certain speeds, even if the speed limit is apparently higher. So the train can't make up the loss. I'm aware that there are a whole bunch of issues, but if we start with this, we'll see why the schedule appears to be the way it is. Um, and I'll reserve any other questions I have for some other time. However, one other thing was I asked if you could get me the name of the people in charge of the FOIL request, the public information officers at the MTA for the Long Island Railroad.
Certainly.
if-
I sent you over the link, I believe, a few months back. But I
That
can send that to you.
that link is, I'm aware of that link, and that's when you file online.
Mhm.
And that doesn't give you names, and I filed that way. I didn't get a response. It took me several months to go back to the MTA to find somebody who actually could respond to that, and then that person blew me off, basically. They directed the department that handles the public information requests to respond to me. This was a lawyer at the MTA. I never got a response. I wrote back to this attorney. I never got a response from the attorney. So
Mhm.
this is par for the MTA as far as I can tell. So I will submit my FOIL requests by snail mail hereafter.
Would
And
you happen to, sorry to interrupt you, Steve, would you happen to have the name of the person you spoke with?
I can email you everything.
If you could, that'd be great.
You got
I
it.
can follow up for you.
Okay, I'll close my session with that now. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam?
So I have too many things to ask. I will certainly not ask all of them. The one I will ask, first of all, just one very short one. The late trains website has been down for a while. It just doesn't load. I was trying to access it yesterday. Train 2060 is really slow between Woodside and Jamaica, and getting to Mineola late, 2 days in a row, because I do teach a course at Adelphi. But anyway, the website that lists the late trains that you've had for many years has been down recently. The other thing is this new 7:53 train from Great Neck to Grand Central, which is quite honestly outraging people on my branch once again. Because it has no Woodside stop, even though the Bayside to Grand Central travel time is 17 minutes. The true travel time and the train is scheduled for 24, so there's certainly plenty of time to make the Woodside stop. It's not a Harold or any cause like that. And then the second reason is that the train originates in Great Neck and not further east. There is certainly a gap for that train to originate in Port Washington, especially given the lack of options we have on the Nassau County part of the Port Washington branch. It's disturbing for Queens for the one added train to be so Queens emphasized. Not that we have anything against Queens, but they have the Q31 bus and other things. Whereas especially east of Great Neck, we're very limited. I I'll just pose this other part. I know a big part of LIR's responses is single track issues and such. But there's plenty of room in the Great Neck pocket track, plenty of time openings on the single track, and plenty of room in the current Port Washington yard. So I don't think I know it's the LIR's position that those are the causes, but I don't think they are. But I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Just wanted
Mhm.
to make sure I have this correct. You said it was the 2060 train?
The one from Jamaica to Mineola.
Okay. Just
It's
making a
been
note, so.
taking a good 12, 13, 14 minutes to go from Woodside to Jamaica. It doesn't seem to be anything in front of it. And it's been 7 minutes late to Mineola at least the last 2 days. Of course, it makes up time further east. It's not going to show up in the late statistics, but 7 minutes late on a 13-minute trip to me is quite a lot.
Got it. Okay. I will speak with service planning and transportation, see what's going on there. And then regarding the website, just wondering how long have you been noticing this
It's been the
issue?
last, I guess, week or two.
Okay.
And then yesterday, when I went on train time, because of the issue with train 2060, they responded by sending the link. So if the MTA is still sending out the link, that makes me think it should be a valid link.
Right. Okay. All right. I will speak with the folks the folks that deal with the website. They could be doing some sort of maintenance. It could be a number of issues. I'm not sure, but if we're still directing folks on the app to look at the website to search their train, that's obviously not helpful. So I will see
It's the
what is
late
going
train
on.
website, not the regular website. It's not part of the
Okay.
train time. It's only
Oh,
on the
got it.
web.
Okay.
The main, I guess, question, comment, I mean, those were the two side things. My main thing was about the 7:53, and I
The
guess
express train.
I forgot the question part of my question.
Well, I recall you're asking why it's originating from Great Neck instead of Port Washington.
I was saying that people are upset about that.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's the LIR's position that it's because of the single track.
Mhm.
And we'll have to agree to disagree on that. But my question, I guess, is they're always saying that they're monitoring conditions and customer comments, and it seems every change they make is the opposite of what the conditions and comments are asking for.
Well,
It would
that's a
be
part
nice
of
if
it, but we also we have to take into consideration upcoming work that we're doing as well, any sort of maintenance work or outages that are planned for the future. At Auburndale, we have an elevator project that we're going to be starting soon, replacing that elevator that's there. That'll require possibly an outage, and we have to take those things into account when we are planning service for the next few months. So it's partly the ridership data, the feedback that we receive, And then another component that I mentioned is where and when we can. So that includes the work that we're scheduled to do, track work, outages, etc.
Yes,
So
my concern is that that anytime these questions are posed, not just me, but by anyone, those general parameters are given. And it's quite honestly nothing to do with you, but it's quite
I
honestly
understand.
to me not believable. There's never reason specific to that train. It's always the general, single track, a Harold, construction. There's never any justifications that are to a particular train that are given.
Adam, it's Larry. Can you just put in the chat the link that they sent you to for the late trains if you get a chance?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And I understand the frustration, especially when it's your specific commute and you need to get somewhere on time. I'm a commuter as well, so I understand. And it's frustrating to hear these responses because they are the same responses, but that's really the reason why. And especially on that
How
branch,
can an
we have
Auburndale elevator have to do with that express train?
that was just
boggles-
an example. That was just an
Understood.
example. But I mentioned that
But I'd
because
like some justification on why the 17-minute trip, if it's scheduled for 24 minutes and it crawls through Woodside anyway, can't stop there for people. That's what I really want to know.
that's fair. So I will
And you can
say
get back to
why
me.
that
if you-
express yeah, that's and I do.
And that question is
but
for most express trains. I know there've been many requests for Woodside stops on the express trains, and they just go out of their way to not make the stops, even when the trains are crawling through the station and the schedule has the time.
fair. All right, so I'll see why that express train isn't stopping at Woodside and just going straight to Grand Central.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chris
And
and
Chris,
Patty.
and Maddie, you're saving yours for,
I think he put his hand back up. Where's we'll get him while Annabelle's still here.
all right, Christopher.
Chris, you're up.
Unmute yourself, Chris.
Get on mute, Chris.
He's having trouble, maybe. Oh,
There we go. No, my microphone was jamming, that's why. My mute
All right.
button. Just to add one thing regarding the survey for Anna, tomorrow is the last day. They did extend the survey because a lot of people are using it, and there was, just to let everyone know, there was some low numbers in the railroad section. So thanks to Annabelle, thank you. The numbers did go
Of
up a
course.
little more because I got that update today. But it is important that Long Island Railroad users, please put your comments in because MTA accessibility actors needs to, hear this too. So I just wanted to make sure that was in for the record.
I took the
I
survey
didn't,
and I put
and just
in.
let you know, Lisa, for the record, Debbie is here also. That's why you see Deborah. It says Chris and Deborah, right?
I'm just letting you know I am here.
I put, took the survey and I put in my station as Hunts Point Avenue. Because talk about stations that could use accessibility.
This point
We,
means everything.
the staff did a visit to, a little tour of the infrastructure in Long Island City, earlier this week. And I showed them the Hunters Point Avenue station and their first response was words we can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In public, but they're like, oh, that's what Jerry talks about all the time. Yeah.
Redheaded stepchild of the Long Island Railroad.
Yeah. So, right,
there you
it's
go.
just, yeah. And that's the
Oh, my God.
accessibility survey.
Can you copy that?
Thank you.
Oh, no, that's the link to the accessibility survey.
Yes, it's a very long link, but that is the link. You
I
just
sent
click
the
on-
accessibility survey out to all of our members. So if you don't have it, please let me know and we'll send it back out.
I think Maddie's got one. Well, we
Okay.
Still got Annabelle.
All right, great. Maddie,
Can I access now? Even though I said I would do it in old business while Annabelle is here, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is about the ADA task force. I asked about this at our last meeting. I never got a response back. I'm interested of joining as someone with autism.
Chris and Annabelle should be able to help you out there.
Yeah, that's no problem. Chris, I'm happy to do it, or if you'd like to do it, more than happy to add you to the future meetings. I believe they're being held quarterly as of right now. But I have a list of members that Chris gives me, so I'll just add that to the list, Chris, if that's all right with you.
Oh, Chris who?
Chris Greif.
Oh, okay. I think I should have
Yeah.
emailed him, but
Chris
that's
Gripe, the
fine.
handsome man next.
Could you give me your email, Chris, and the link if that's okay? Maybe I can contact you on that.
Okay,
All right, yeah, let's see any other hands up.
no more hands.
Alrighty, so drop down to, is there any old business that anybody wants to bring up?
Stu has
Oh.
his answers.
All right, Stu?
And maybe more than one, but hands.
I'm sorry, I just can't resist this one. I'm sure you guys have addressed this already, but often the westbound train comes in on track 4, even when track 3 is empty, which screws every passenger because now everyone going to Brooklyn, Grand Central, Penn Station has to squeeze in one of those 2 stairways or the 1 escalator. Is there a reason this happens?
You have a particular train?
I can give it to
What
you,
train you talking- train you
the last
talking about?
time it happened, but it's happened to me more than once. It's happened several times on the westbound train out of Montauk. I guess this is not an issue that you've dealt with before, but I saw Adam shaking his head, so it seems like something that's done for the operational convenience of the railroad, but it doesn't serve the passengers.
Stu, can you get me that train number if possible, or the time, whatever information you have available?
I will figure it out. Yeah.
Would this be the
Yeah, all right.
train that connects with a 710 connection in Jamaica heading westbound?
The morning train?
No,
Yeah.
this is
That connection.
it's it's an evening train or a late afternoon train out of Montauk. And you know, the Montauk branch is one of the few branches where there actually is officially a connection. But if the train comes in a few minutes late and the connection is there already, then you know, bad things happen.
Well, there's officially a connection going eastbound. There's not an officially a
Connection
connection
going
going
westbound.
westbound. I found that out as I pulled in on the Montauk train and watched the train.
I
pull
guess
out.
I guess maybe that's true. It lists the trains that you could connect to.
Okay,
Alrighty, so anybody else have any old business they want to bring up?
or new business,
going
while we
down to-
still have Annabelle.
We're going down to new business. Annabelle, just a heads up, one of the things that I'm gonna be asking about, and I don't know whether it goes through your office or through the MTA, or the MTA and they filter it down to you. Back, I believe it was 2014, I think was the last time the railroad did an origin and destination survey. And you know, it's 10 years later, we have Grand Central Madison, we have new riding patterns because of, you know, post-COVID. So I was thinking now might be the best time for the railroad to conduct another origin destination survey. So I was gonna ask somebody in MTA headquarters, who's the right person to contact about that. I just want to give you heads up in case it comes
Sure, definitely.
down to you come Monday or Tuesday.
Definitely. I appreciate that. I'll mention it to Hector as well. It'd be nice to do it in as a sort of 10-year anniversary.
And because things have changed so much in the 10 years, but now that we have
Exactly.
an additional western terminus.
Definitely.
I see some
I
hands
wanted
up.
to ask, just because it's directly tied to that, I think maybe it was when they did the last one, or maybe it was even before that, that they came up with standards like Great Neck's supposed to have a trade every 30 minutes, Mastic Shirley's supposed to have a trade every 90 minutes. Are those standards still part of the scheduling?
I personally have no idea. Annabelle might be
I,
able.
I,
Annabelle probably
I-
doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time I've heard of this study, so I don't have I don't know right now. I can certainly ask Hector. He was here when that study was done, so I'm sure he would know if that is still in place. And frankly, I'm I would say, I would think not, since there is a new terminal now. There's so much that has changed, but let me check in first and see if that's the case or not.
I'm not 100% certain, but my memory's a little foggy, but I believe that when they did that, those were recommendations based on the origin and destination survey. They weren't necessarily adopted standards. That was just like, this is what we should do if we can do it, and depending on the amount of rolling stock, crews available, that kind of thing.
But now there's third track, there's double
Yeah.
track, there's
Yeah.
so many other, and there's different kinds of equipment.
Yeah,
And there's the double deckers were there, but they were not the same capacity, I
Yeah.
think, so, yeah. And hopefully there's been some improvements to there have been improvements to switching, because people aren't there doing this.
yeah, this is true.
They do that, so.
It's Stu and Maddie here.
Stu and then Maddie.
Stu, you're up.
Don't know if your hand was still up raised before Stu, or you have another question. All right, Maddie, let's go to you.
I just have one piece, two business actually. First of all, I texted in the group. I want to say wish everybody a happy Autism Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you.
And Annabelle, I sent you my email, and so did you, Chris, in case you need to contact me on the 88 task. That's all I'm going to say. Good night, everybody.
Yes, I have it here. Thank you, Maddie.
Wonderful.
Okay.
We
Call-
will keep
call-
you all apprised of how things happen. Either we will or Larry will keep someone apprised of what's happening in Albany.
No, he got reassigned.
I
He got
know.
reassigned, so
He's
he
going
won't.
to one
he won't
circuit
be-
or another.
Yeah, he's going to the national circus as opposed to the state circus. Alrighty, that being said, motion to adjourn.
I guess adjourn, motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Second
adjourn.
that
All
motion,
right,
please.
all in favor? Aye.
Great.
All right, motion
Thank you
is
so
adjourned
much.
at 5:28.
Next
PM.
meeting is May 2nd,
May 2nd. First. Or-
first Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, good night.
Bye.
Why did we move it?